All right, so I think it's time, so we'll just go ahead and start, okay? All right, so welcome everybody. I know that's kind of funky, but that's pretty cool. And welcome to the 2023 RISD Humanitarian Innovation Design class. Today, it's our final presentation. So the students will present the activities that they have designed over the past semester. We have really amazing activities this semester. We have been working with the Horizon Center in Greece that focuses with unaccompanied refugee minors, but also with YSAT, another NGO in South Sudan and Uganda, where they also focus on refugee youth too as well. And this semester, the students at RISD had designed with the instructors at YSAT and also at the Horizon Center to come up with these very interesting design activities that not just teach the youth about design and how to do creative problem solving skills, but also to embed some type of technology inside it for them to be empowered and then actually understand, these emerging technologies that are, in the market in these days. And the reason why we did this is because we have been working with a lot of these refugee minors in the past couple of years and have seen a trend where using technology really intrigues their interest and captures them to want to stay in the program. So we wanted to introduce them, and not just design, but also, yes, my voice is echoing, and also, technologies for them to get really interested and actually use them in their daily lives. So enough said, we have 4 teams that will present today, and each team will have 15 minutes to present their 2 activities they have designed, and we will open up the room for our guests and other students and other guests in this room for them to ask questions. For the instructors, me and Sally, we'll be asking you guys questions after this whole presentation. So we'll go more in depth on giving you more feedback. All right, let's have team 1 come up to the stage. All right, so floor is yours. You can set up here.
We're sharing on Zoom, and I'll keep mine open so we can see the speakers. Is the audio going to be on in yours? The audio, otherwise it's going to echo.
Oh yeah, I will mute mine. So you should turn on your mic.
Hi, so we're team 1, and this is the final presentation. I'm Muskan.
I'm Mita. And I'm Amelia.
And we're very glad to have you guys here. To begin with our table of contents, today we're going to be going through an introduction where we're going to introduce our partners, moving through the 2 activities that we designed, the feedback that we received on our teaching experience and the activity, and how we plan to move forward, which is our next steps and further implications. So to begin with, we worked in Greece at the Horizon Center, which is an educational center for the refugee youth, and it specifically allows students to take part in design workshops guided by creative capacity building methodology, and encourages both creativity and critical thinking skills for students that is essential for design. Our Greece team comprised of John, who's the team lead, Dimitris, who's the design lead, Ibrahim, who's the design instructor, and Sai, who's the design instructor. And throughout the semester, we worked with them to get feedback and to understand what we can improve in our activities and what are the necessities. Our RISD team includes the three of us, as well as Yvonne and Sally are both our co-instructors. How we collaborated with the partners, firstly, the insights, we were looking to get immediate feedback on the academic and extracurricular needs of the students and their hobbies, interests, and other pertinent cultural differences that we would not understand significantly, and we just aim to design our activities around these cultural differences. The needs, the activities, by the way of both their content and thematics, are most needed at the Horizon Center. We were trying to understand what are the gaps in the current design teaching skills and how we could improve them with the activities that we were creating while also teaching them about technology. And communication, we specifically communicated with our Greek partners using WhatsApp, which is approximately 3 times a week, and on Zoom for once a week to brainstorm, ideate, discuss what we want to go further with and how we want to build our activities into more meaningful exercises for the Horizon Center.
So first, we'll walk through activity 1, AI can show you the world. In this activity, we wanted to offer the drop-in center students an opportunity to learn the breadth of ideation process in a time-sensitive manner of 1.5 hours requested by the Horizon Center. This activity will allow collaboration between students through visual representation more than verbal instruction. We encourage storytelling, highlighting each other's ideas and the importance of design process skills. And we wanted to improve the ways that students can communicate and improve language skills with each other. The learning objectives is the design process. We wanted them to learn the introduction to the design process in a short amount of time. Storyboarding to be able to convey ideas to each other and communicate. Ideation skills to gain further confidence in their own ideas and sharing them. Language skills to increase practical understanding of English language and sentence structure in visual manners. Teamwork to contribute and collaborate with each other in a collaborative environment. And lastly, AI generation, which would teach them leverage design skills in daily life. So for AI can show you the world, students were given cards. Right here. Orange cards being adjectives. Oh, okay. Blue cards being nouns. Green cards being verbs, and yellow with articles, all shaped in puzzle pieces so that students can rearrange the words and create their own sentences. And once scanning the QR codes with their phones, they'll be able to come to a GIF image and a soundbite that will read them the meaning of the word. And it is very common in learning languages that watching movies or seeing visuals along with the words are very helpful. Once the students choose words to combine together, advanced students can also combine as many words as they want to make it more complex. They enter it into a website called Deep AI that is also available in Greece. And they will be able to generate their images to further communicate storytelling and storyboarding with each other.
So throughout the course of our design process, like I said, we met very frequently with our partners in Greece, and we turned to them to get critical input to sort of improve the reach of the activity. So we knew going into this activity that it was important to remain sensitive to language barriers. The population of the Horizon Center changes all the time. There's students coming from all over the place. It's difficult for them to communicate with instructors, but also communicate interpersonally So we wanted to devise an activity that really circumnavigated these language barriers and helped them to tap into, the essentials of the design process. And so we sort of decided that in order to do that, it would, naturally make sense to design a language teaching activity. And so initially we designed cards. After we scanned the QR code cards, the slide deck that they led to had 6 different languages. They included Somali, Farsi, Arabic, Greek, English, and Swahili. But after talking with John and Dimitris, they highlighted that including all of those 6 languages was perhaps distracting to students as opposed to helpful, because it sort of detracted from the English learning opportunity. John in particular is in charge of the English language program at the Horizon Center, and he said that the cards would be most effective flashcard style to really be a learning tool. We didn't really want to allow those other languages being present on the cards to be a crutch. Like I said, the first iteration did have those 6 languages, and so we removed the 5 and settled on just having activity 1 cards with the English to keep with that impulse. Secondly, John suggested that we make modifications to the verb tenses used on each card. Originally, we were using the English ing tense, so running, swimming, singing, laughing, but that doesn't translate very easily to non-English languages. So for greater clarity, we made the decision to use the S verb tense: runs, swims, sings. And our card deck is about 88 words in total. And in order to make sure that all of the different sentences from the different parts, all the different words from the different parts of speech fit together in a, logical sense, we had to really review that pretty thoroughly, make sure we were using appropriate language, make sure we were using words that could actually easily fit into sentences. So we worked very closely with our partners in order to make some modifications.
So the learning outcome, once the AI generator generates the words that they input, they can show each other storyboards and communicate their ideas to each other. And some of them, Demetrius mentioned, struggled with image drawing themselves. And so this is also a tool for them to be able to draw without necessarily physically using a pencil.
So our second activity is called Ideation Hero. And I'm just going to briefly read the summary. Ideation Hero aims to inspire abstract idea generation through a series of multiple choice question and answer activities where there's no right answer, but emphasis is placed rather on several correct answers, uniquely designed to provoke critical thought and conversation. So by using Google Translate as well as digital drawing technology, students learn to circumnavigate interpersonal language barriers. Ideation Hero asks students to justify design choices to themselves and others by leveraging said translation technologies. The emphasis is placed on the natural iterative impulse, why this and not that. And students gain confidence in their ability to generate creative, original solutions to emotional, physical, and social design problems. Ideation Hero lays the foundation for student success for the design process. And so the next one. The learning objectives of this activity are to expose students to a wide variety of different translation and digital drawing technologies. We relied mainly on Google Translate because there's a lot of different ways to utilize Google Translate. You can do text-to-text translation, words, you can do speech-to-text translation. They've got an awesome camera scanning application where you can scan text and then that can translate. We also wanted to enforce originality, to inspire originality and radical design impulse, and emphasize the importance of multiple iterations in the design process. When we were coming up with the idea for this activity, Demetrius really emphasized to us that students coming from different countries really struggle with abstract idea generation and taking confidence in their own sort of imagination. And so the emphasis of originality and the rightness in one's unique originality was really important to us. That goes hand in hand with confidence gaining so that an individual might be able to think critically and creatively articulate their reasoning behind a design decision. That's really the backbone of an empathetic design practice. And we wanted to talk about space as well, establishing and accepting space for sharing ideas. There's often rifts between students because of cultural and language barriers, and it's difficult for students to really become friends with one another. So we wanted to create a space where sharing was acceptable and students could really lean on one another in the design process to sort of vet and come to the best conclusions. Teamwork goes hand in hand with that as well. Collaboration and effective communication, and then also articulation. How can students really learn to express their like aesthetic impulse and their logic impulse? So this is really what we came up with. So this is a video of the Figma that we created. It's got an introduction tab in which students are introduced to sort of the thematics and steps of the game. And then it goes to the scenario tab. There are interpersonal design scenarios and also object scenarios. Object scenarios are really rooted in the physical world, thinking about traditional product design. But those interpersonal design scenarios that students are exposed to really get them thinking about how to design for emotional and interpersonal need, and are sort of like more, they're intangible and more abstract, and in that way more difficult for students to understand. So these scenarios are basically multiple choice design questions in which there's no right answer. Students pick the answer they feel is the best one to the design scenario they're presented. And then the real crux, the meat and potatoes of the activity is justifying their decision. And that's where the talking comes in, that's where the translation technology comes in. Yeah, so it's really like a rationale exercise. Really nice tab. Like I said, it's a collaborative reading activity using those translation and digital drawing technologies. It challenges students to overcome the interpersonal language barrier in pursuit of fruitful collaboration and communication. So lots of modifications made to this activity. We made activity 1 first, activity 2 was more of a hurdle. So Dimitris expressed the need for an activity that inspired that abstract thinking, because it's an essential in design thinking generally. And it's a skill that's really crucial to teach at the beginning of one's introduction to design, because, you know, one has to be able to think outside of the box to come to design solutions. Otherwise, you're just drawing the same thing over and over again. So designing such an activity requires a great deal of consideration towards cultural difference, toward immediate need, emotional, intellectual ability of students. It's really hard to teach abstract thought when you can't communicate directly with the students. So we did our best. We wanted to place this at like a beginner level, but we kind of settled at sort of an intermediate level of student. And we still feel like it's a helpful exercise for students who are in the Design Your Future program, just to sort of like get those, that abstract thought like gears turning. And we decided to use iconographic multiple choices in order to illustrate design scenarios outside of language. And we all illustrated our own questions. I think there's about 11 questions in total. We submitted that evenly amongst ourselves. And then we also presented options in multiple choice format to convey that there's really no right answer. Dimitris felt that like a technological component was sort of kill the activity, but we had other requirements that we had to fulfill. So we really leaned on Sally, Hewan, and the other Greek group for support and suggestions. Greek group 2 suggested that we use Figma to digitize our multiple choice, and that was a super great option, and it really helped us out. And Sally and Hewan suggested that we introduce translation technology because communication was such an essential part of the activity. That helped us to circumvent potential language barriers, and it also added that like digital learning component that we needed.
So teaching exercises, talking to students, it was nice to walk through the activities with the Design Your Future program with the Horizon Center. And we were unable to communicate directly with the students, but we were able to talk to the beneficiaries and hear more input. And Dimitris was amazing. He was a great facilitator during the activity on Zoom and during the teaching session. And he was able to offer students immediate feedback and assistance, and we were able to see any hurdles that the students were facing. to further continue to iterate our project. And it would have been nice to talk a little bit longer and hear the students' feedback. And so we're hoping to send a information or form that the students can fill out. And so during the activities, there were some bumps. It wasn't necessarily a terrible thing, but I remember during the lesson, we had a sentence that was something on the lines of skinny boy, and the image generator said that it might be inappropriate content, and so it stopped it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's good to know that the image generator is very safe for children in all ages to use. And students needed a little bit more instruction on the digital technology part. We plan on possibly making more instructions for more introductory students. And we imagine that there can be more variations in the card deck for language.
The next steps for the activity. So we were thinking for activity 1, which is the card deck activity. We want to go back and review our entire slide deck and QR code deck so that we can go back and see any places that have errors and triple check the entire thing since it's a multi-part activity. Then the success, we also want to see how this activity would work with the beginner and intermediate students because this is who it's more targeted towards, but we were unable to teach it to them. We also would like to see how successful the teaching is at several levels. And finally, we want to reflect and improve our discussion and engagement questions to create a better space for students to engage with everyone. And for activity 2, we still want to go back and discuss with our beneficiaries how and where we can place at what level this activity. So if it should be a beginner, intermediate, or a design your future advanced student activity. We also want to see if we can go back in and create an app that is able to be translatable in multiple languages so it's more accessible. And we also want to have a chance to teach the activity so we can get more feedback on it. Thank you.
You can share. All right, so before we take some questions, could you guys quickly show us the QR code thing and then also the app for other people to see? I'll put it down under the top-down camera that we have. So you can see the screen and just like based on that. That's gonna be capture.
Can we pull it up on the computer?
Or you can just show the QR code first.
Okay. Do you want to?
The activity one.
So
It's. We're demonstrating. Mm-hmm. Maybe a picture. Oh.
maybe turn the brightness down. All scan cards lead to a website with the soundbite and a moving GIF.
Yeah. Want to play a.
Is the volume on the phone up?
Soft. And this one is activity 2.
So this is the tools tab, which has all the translation technology. And then you can play the game, and you have 2 types of scenarios, which is individual and object. So for example, you select object, you go through a set of 5 questions. You can choose to skip questions by doing the next tab, but you can also, for example, this question is about an uncomfortable pan. And you have the option to go through these 4 options. All answers are correct. You would choose an option, and then you would either choose to draw out the problem and draw out why you chose this as the solution, or you would talk about it. If you do choose talk, you would be taken back to this tab, and you can find questions for talking and how you could use those to improve what you want to say. And you also have questions for drawing.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you once again. For sharing that. Any questions?
Hello?
Anybody?
Anyone from Zoom?
Yes, I want to say something.
turn
Hello?
off your, laptop? Somebody's saying it's echoing, so it's really hard for them to hear. Oh, somebody's speaking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Ah. Hello from Greece. Well done. We ran I ran the activity once again the next day with some new students.
Cool.
The crazy, yeah. It's also connected with your second activity about abstract thinking. I asked the students to create a little bit of crazy sentences in order to put to deep AI. And the craziest sentence they could produce is a monkey drinks Coca-Cola and coffee together. So yeah, we struggle a lot, and we use, but we managed to do it. It was very fun. None of them were familiar with artificial intelligence, so maybe we need to add some more explanation, but also easy explanation. It's not so, yeah. That just as a small comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we realize I also promote today the design essentials to another group, another shelter, and again ask them, do you know anything about artificial intelligence, augmented reality, things like that? And they say no. And yeah, I didn't know exactly how I should explain to them. But the activity works really good. When they understand what it is that they really enjoy, creating new images. That's for the first activity. The second activity, yes, I really, it's really good, and I would like also to try it for the Design Your Future in order to spark conversations about the ideation when we are in that part. So well done.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting that you ran it again. I'm happy to hear that it was successful. Can you hear me?
Where should I talk?
Oh.
Oh.
Here.
I'm happy to hear that you ran it again. And I'm glad that it like went over well. It's exciting that you were able to like increase its level of complexity, sort of just like on a whim, I guess. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of like level of complexity.
Yes, this is something that I think both teams have achieved, which is very nice because, as you know, in Greece, we have things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
Right now, we are trying to find our internet connection. So, because we want to run the activities, we try to adapt them in our conditions. So, this is something that go for both of the Greek teams. You achieve it, so we can run the activities with several ways and also in several levels, which is very nice and something that we really need. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, once again.
Thank
yeah,
you.
Yeah. And Sally and I will give you feedback later on after this class.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so team 2, please come up. And let's try to keep it on time. I'm gonna give you like the 5-minute like timer before you run out.
Where's the link of starting? To or do I just?
Oh, you just screen share. Yeah.
Do we need to turn on like our voice or?
Yeah, I'll mute my
Hi, I'm Jessie. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Gary, and we're going to be presenting our activities that we designed for this Humanitarian Innovation design class, with help, obviously, from the team members in Greece, as well as Human and Sally. So starting off, just kind of some problem framing that we touched on in one of our earlier presentations during the midterm. So some of the problems that we wanted to address with these activities include the language barrier that a lot of the students at the Horizon Center face, which is them speaking very little to no English or Greek, which makes it hard for communication between students as well as instructors. Their time in Greece, so most of them won't be there for a long-term period of time. So they'll only be there for a couple months at most. Technological literacy, so a lot of them don't have very advanced technological literacy, and that makes it hard for them to kind of be just thrown into the deep end with a lot of like advanced technologies. And then also the limited Wi-Fi capabilities. So data is very expensive in Greece, and then also there are some Wi-Fi issues that come with the Horizon Center. So some of the objectives that we had, that we kind of came up with through these this problem framing was, first, being able to introduce ITC technologies in a way that was digestible for these students. Two, teaching and practicing like basic design principles to let them kind of get an idea of what that's like. And then also practicing empathy in the context of design, which is a super important part of the design process. And four, most importantly, let them have fun, kind of be an escape from everything else that's going on. So from this, we kind of developed a problem statement, which was, how might we design activities incorporating ITC technologies that are accessible to students with low technological literacy so that their interactions are enhanced and they learn valuable design thinking skills. So for some of our initial concepts, for two of our initial concepts, we had a wallet design activity where basically they would partner up and design wallets for each other, which kind of practice empathy and also the physical making of an object. But it kind of lacked the introduction of like a new type of technology. And then the other one was character design activity, which introduced the concept of AR to these students, and also the physical making of an object, but kind of lacked in terms of teaching like design principles in the design process. So switching gears a little bit, we kind of adapted these activities into different concepts, which is empathy, AI, and firmware AR, which we'll talk about shortly. And we came to these through consultation with the team in Greece, as well as Human and Sally, to kind of switch gears and address some of the issues that we faced with our previous concepts. And I'll hand it over to Jesse, who will go over.
Okay, so the first activity we would like to introduce is the empathy AI. So it is an empathy building activity where students can design products for each other based on like each other's preferences, and incorporated, we introduced the artificial intelligence technology into it. So I will introduce like the whole procedure of this activity. So first we will talk about like the brief overview of this activity. So this activity is basically about designing products for each other. So first, students will partner up in groups of 2 and interview each other to know like each other's preferences better. Then they will make sketch models based on like interview feedback. And next they will like take photos of their sketch models and import the sketch models to the AI generator to generate more design solutions. And at last, they will get feedbacks from their partner and share their designs like with each other. So so we provide like 2 options, like 2 products, so they can choose which one they would like to design. So they need to choose one like that they feel like they're interested in designing for their partner. So the first one is headphone and the other one is jewelry. And these are some like photo references of headphones as well as like all kinds of jewelry. So we show this to give them like inspiration so that they can pick, like they can make a choice from these 2. So step 1 will be partner up. So letting them like partner up into group of 2, and they can choose like their partner from students who like design the same item as them. So they will design for their partner for the rest of the activity time. And step 2 will be to interview each other. So finish the questions on the worksheet we provided to know like partner preferences better. So we provide 4 kinds of worksheet for them. So 2 for the new students and 2 for the more advanced students. So the question on the worksheets are based on which product you choose. So we spent like a lot of time coming up and adjust those questions because like we thought like interviewing each other and knowing each other needs are the kind of the point of this activity. So for new students, we provide more like multiple choice. For example, for the jewelry design worksheet, we provide questions like circle 1 or 2 stones that you like, or circle 1 material like. It is more like a multiple choice question, as well as we incorporate some empathy building questions, such as for the headphone worksheet, we provide question like, when do you usually wear your headphone, or like play your favorite songs to your partner, or something like that. And for the more advanced students, we choose not to provide the multiple choice question for them because we thought that would be like too simple for them, but we add more like empathy building questions, such as for the jewelry design worksheet, we provide question like, is there a particular culture or traditional design that you feel like you want to incorporate into your jewelry, something like that. So after they interview and get feedback from each other, step 3 will be the model making. So each of them will make design and make 1 sketch model for the objects, and they may design and make based on the worksheets answer they got from their partner. And after that, they will take a picture of the models and import it into AI generator so that AI generator can come up with like more design solutions for them. So the AI generator we choose to use is called the Dreamlike.art. So Dreamlike.art is a program that uses AI technology to create new images using words or pictures that you put into it. So it can be used to quickly make a lot of different versions of an idea to help when they're like doing brainstorming. So, and we give students a quick demonstration on how to use the Dreamlike.art. So first, you can upload your sketch model here. And next, you can write your prompt in simple fit phrases in here. For this one, we got necklace with diamonds and tourmaline stones, small and simple, silver, modern, and geometric style. And third, you can hit choose a number of image you want to generate and hit the generate button here. And yeah, it can help you generate those pictures based on the prompt you provided. And step 5 will be like explain your design to your partner. And at last, they will have a brief like discussion, sharing their thoughts on how they learn from this activity and how they feel for designing for somebody else, and how do they feel about receiving like their partner's design. So the learning outcome we expected they got from this activity are, first, we expect them to learn how to practice empathy within like a certain design context, and let them know the importance of understanding the target user's needs. And also we would like to introduce the concept of artificial intelligence to them. And at last, we want them to like have fun in the whole process and have fun of seeing like what their partner have designed for them.
So for our next activity, we have the footwear AR. So we started with an introduction with what's augmented reality, and on the side we have like a picture of Pokemon Go to show the students what is AR. And then for our activity, so they started with selecting a purpose card that has like design restrictions on it, and then they will design the side profile of a pair of shoes. So based on the purpose card they've selected, and then for third steps, they will try on the shoe they designed in AR Canvas. So AR Canvas, it's an app in the Samsung. Yeah, so for step 1, they will select their purpose card. And then these are the cards that we created. So when we were making these cards, we've considered for like both boys and girls. So for boys, they have like football, basketball, and for girls, they have like Wonderland. And we also have a lot of like gender neutral cards, such as like rainy days, snowy day. And then after they've selected their cards, they'll run a quick discussion. So our example that we chose is like, what kind of shoes do people wear on rainy days? And then on rainy days, in case if the students don't know like how to brainstorm, so we've chosen example of the rainy day to show them like the shoe can be like waterproof, it can have like good grip and be high top. And then these are the examples that we found for all the selections for the cards, in case the students don't know like how to design. And then for step 2, we'll ask the students to draw their ideas, so at least 2 footwear on the template that we created. And they can also ask the internet for help, so they can Google if they. Yeah, so that's the template that we created. So it's a site profile of 2 foot, and students, they can just draw based on the templates. And these are our examples for rainy day shoes. And then for step 3, we'll ask the students to combine their designs. So in case if the students don't know how to take elements from each sketch they like and combine it to a final design, so we made this example. So for example, I like the shape of shoe 1, and I like the sole of shoes 2, and I like the pattern of shoe 3. And then when you combine these 3 elements together, that's going to be the final design. And then we also created a template for the final design. So the students can draw and make their model based on the template. And then for step 4, we'll ask students to use different materials such as cardboard, felt, pipe cleaners, and construction paper to cut out and glue their design onto the drawing. Some example of materials, and that's our example of making the shoe. And that's the final design with 3D materials. And then for step 5, students, they will try their shoes in AR canvas. So we have a tutorial video for how to use the AR canvas. And lastly, we'll ask the students to try on each other's designs. And for our learning outcomes, so we want the students to consider design constraints when designing a product for a specific purpose. And we want them to learn the importance of ideation and sketching. And we want to introduce AR concept to them and also have fun when they are designing and trying on each other's design.
So this is a little bit of our teaching experience, teaching the full AR activity to the Horizon Center in Greece. Kind of sat in and co-taught it with Dimitris. So overall, it went pretty smoothly. I think the experience of teaching was like very rewarding, I think, and being able to see this activity finally come to life and see that it worked through all the iteration and ideation and kind of the finalizing of each part of the design. And some of the feedback, some of the things we learned throughout this process of designing these activities and teaching them were kind of like the barriers that refugee youth face in like education and how specifically design education can be beneficial to them, as well as like the importance of like learning technologies, and then also just the extent of the accessibility of these technologies. Like they are still very there's a lot of accessibility issues, especially in terms of like finding things that are free and finding things that work on phones as opposed to like more powerful computers. And then some of the things that some of the feedback that things that could be improved about our activities are just kind of like the clarity and detail in the initial activity outline, making sure that that's clear and kind of providing what the end outcome is at the start, so everybody knows what's going on. Also making the activities a little more accessible to beneficiaries that have a larger language barrier. So that was something that we had a little bit of difficulty addressing, just kind of like making sure that the language barrier wasn't playing too much of a part in the success of the activity. And then also just kind of working out the details of how much time we allowed for each step, because that was a little bit of an issue in terms of just like time management and making sure everything got done in a timely manner. And that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Now we'll open up the floor for some questions.
Yes, hello.
Yes, Dimitris.
Yes. So again, well done. Yes, we ran the activity. It worked really fine. We ran the augmented reality one, and we will try also the app to our tailoring classes, because now we want to make some t-shirts with screen printing. So it's nice that we can choose the designs that they want to put and try it out. So yeah, and of course the gift giving experience. I will also want to teach that on either on Friday or Monday to our Design Your Future, because we always do this activity, but now we can also include more technology. So that's good. Yeah, well done. It's very nice because 2 Teams for Greece, we have activities for both the design essentials, but also the Design Your Future classes, which is really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's
Thank you, Dimitris. Anybody else? Any questions?
Just sort of just like this functionality with
I mean, like for AR technology, you can use it like in your daily life. So for example, when you're like designing for maybe for with the furniture, and then when you're like creating the sketch model, and then you don't know what it's gonna look in real life, you can just to connect real life to see like the scale and also the style you want. So other things that you can use in your daily life. So, yeah, so we think it's useful for the students to learn. And also to like introduce the idea. So they have like a sense of idea, like what can we do something that's something.
Obviously, the AR software that it uses. The model space is kind of to student. But I think still, I think using that to kind of just like have a sense of scale and how can like I guess when I mean just kind of like it can be an experience to bring just really space as opposed to just sit. They want to continue to explore the concept and
Okay, well, thank you so much. Sally and I will give you guys work feedback after the class. Okay, so let's move on to team 3.
Oh, the camera's right here.
So I have to share the entire screen. Yeah, entire screen.
You guys have your phone, do you?
Yeah.
Wait, where's Sean's phone?
Good.
What's your
No,
phone?
no, I can do it. It's right here.
Where? Where's it? Oh.
Can you guys,
Yeah.
so I'll give you mine. And I'll leave my speaker.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
All right, let's go.
All right. Well, yeah, good morning, everyone. We're team 3. Well, before we begin, started with a question. What does music mean to you? And in your definition, what is music? Well, obviously you don't have to answer that because that's a rhetorical answer. That's a rhetorical question, but it's just something that is highly associated with something that we want to talk about today. As you can see in the title, Music Our Lives. And that is something that we did for our project.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Well, as always, we have a table of content that is basically summarize and outline what will be covered during the presentation. We'll first introduce ourselves as well as the basics of our project. Then we'll move on to our end product called MuniSynth. Then we'll talk about the activities, teaching, and finally reflection on the entire process. So first, introduction. My name is Ashley. I'm RISD 2024. I'm an industrial design major student. And this is Sean. He's also University 2024 industrial design, and Richard. Well, of course, all of our project cannot be done without our instructor and partner. Patrick, he is our YSAT instructor and our main point of contact within the Uganda. And also we have Human and Sally as our RISD team instructor that guide our design process throughout the way. So before we begin our project, we have this project mission in the very beginning, which is to create a platform or activity that empowers others to build, design, and create. Basically, we're trying to create a project for the course that empower others' creativity by building an activity or platform through electronic devices. And in response to the project mission, we have conducted several testings and interviews on our partner users. And here are the problems that we have discovered. First is that they have very limited digital device and internet connections. Second is that they are very interested in photography and music. And third, they have small amount of free time. Based off of these problems, we have started think and brainstorm this possible solutions to that. So during the course, we as a team have created MuniSynth web app that allows people to play music more easily without prior experience to music knowledge. The entire project took about 3 months from February to May, and the main tools that we'll be using is design. And design is Figma, Illustrator, and Mural, and develop is VS Code. Of course, our expert here, Richard, will be explaining more and later on in sessions. So after we have determined our solution, we have these 3 design goals that sort of guide us through the entire creation process. First is we want to make sure that our product has minimized learning curves. We want to make sure the end product is very easy to use for the beginners. Second is that we want to make sure it breaks through cultural barriers. We want the product to be very accessible no matter where you came from, which background you came from, and it can be easily understood. And third, learning while having fun. We want to make sure the product is playful while our users are learning from it. So with these 3 design goals in mind, we have started our design process from the very beginning. So a basic overview of the entire creation project process. First is initial research. Here we did a basic data visualization gathering, met with our local staff and meet with the local partner. Then as soon as we get a basic understanding, we have a deep dive into the research process, which include conduct interviews with local partners, synthesize collected data, and set design goals. Next, we have go through the ideation process, which is we gather ideas and think about potential ideas on the solutions. We also co-create with the local partners and share ideas to enhance a better, to make sure our project is working to satisfy both needs. Then in a wireframing process, I'm responsible for ideating interface for MuniSynth and Sean is for determining the features for the web app. And next, for prototype phase, Richard is the primary coder that is responsible for producing the prototype for Minisynth on the Figma file. Because we have already talked about the research process during our midterm presentation, in this presentation, we'll be focusing on the end product, which is our Minisynth. And now hand it over to you, Richard, and he'll be talking about Minisynth.
All right, so Minisynth is in short a simple web-based synthesizer and sampler. So what does that really mean? Well, here's a pretty hero shot first for the interface. So first up, when it's web-based, I mean that it's a web app or a fancy website that's accessible to everyone, right? So as long as you have a browser and an internet connection, you can go on here and start creating stuff. In fact, you can actually do it right now. So if you scan that QR code or enter that URL into your browser of choice, you'll be able to visit our little website. So the reason why we went with a web application instead of a traditional application that's within the App Store or the Play Store is because of accessibility, right? In order to download applications from those stores, you would need an account. There's a lot more friction. You also need to download the app itself. Whereas compared to a website, you would stream it the moment you go to the website itself. The second aspect of the Minisynth is the synthesizer itself. It's a polyphonic synthesizer, which means it's able to create multiple tones or sounds at the same time. It covers the 3rd, 4th, and 5th octave, and all of the notes, as you can see from the screenshot, is represented as keys on a piano keyboard. You can actually switch between the 3 different octaves by clicking the buttons to the left of the keyboard there. And lastly is the sampler. It doesn't actually record any samples, but you are able to play back 6 different drum samples represented with these icons on the soundboard. So you have your hi-hat, your kicks, your toms, all the good stuff. During our interviews, the refugees mentioned that a lot of them had experience drumming, so we wanted to have that in this app to give them something familiar to work with. Moving on to technical overview by the numbers. So in total, we had 6 major dependencies. These are all free and open source projects, so the unsung heroes of any development. For us, we're using SvelteKit as our primary framework. It handles state management, routing, component rendering, and then Vite is our front-end build tool. It runs our dev servers, it does hot module reloading, and it helps us with build optimization. Tone.js is a web audio API wrapper that we use to produce all the sounds right within the browser. And then Dixie handles our user storage, so it manages a local SQL database within your phone or computer. Total of 30 icons were created. Again, we mentioned that we didn't want this app to have any language barrier to it. So we went with this heavily iconographic user interface. So, regardless of what language you speak, ultimately you're able to familiarize yourself with these icons and use the interface without sort of feeling alienated by the language itself. A total of 13 components were created. Here are some of them. You see this cassette sort of theme running throughout. So, you have your little controls, which turn into like these sprockets on the cassette when you play it. And also there's the homepage like list item there in the middle, which is like the bottom of the cassette with the tape kind of pulled out and you can actually see your song on the tape itself, along with some other stuff. In total, about 6,000 lines of code were written for this project. So all of the interface was coded from scratch, and we did most of the component logic as well as data handling, storage in the background as well. Did I mention this is a dark mode? There's a dark mode. On the homepage, you can actually toggle it on the top left corner there with that little icon. So again, much like the dependencies we used, Minisynth is open source and currently available on GitHub. You can view, clone, or contribute to the code base right here at this link. Oh, the page is down. Anyways, again, so this, even when we finish this project and we move on in the future, people can take over, continue to develop and contribute to this project and maintain it for years to come. So just to illustrate the capabilities of the synth, here are 3 different demo sounds. Pick whichever one you like, scan the QR code or enter the URL into your browser of choice. And then, you can play it, sort of get a feel for what's possible and what people have made. I think Sean did a great job with these. Yeah. Oh, if you're on iPhone, make sure that your notification slider is not on silent or else Safari will not play web audio for some reason. That's good. I'll leave that up for a second. Thank you. All right, so in addition to the web app itself, we also created practice pieces such as this. Think of it as like sort of abstracted sheet music for the Minisynth app. You can sort of follow along and recreate these pieces in the app itself, as well as a beginner's guide. Again, a lot of the same information, an overview of what's included, and then there's a run through of the whole interface of the app as well.
All right, activities. All right, so in terms of activities, since we have spent so much time on Minisynth, we have decided to use Minisynth in both activities. And in addition, since the web app itself has a hard learning curves already, so we decided to make the activity simpler to reduce the amount of learning curves during that 1 hour course. So introducing the first activity, as you can see in the chart, this is basically an activity where you compose a music piece based on a selected image. And so to summarize in one sentence, it's basically the activity that allows you to connect pictures with music and deepening one's understanding with emotions. So did you know pictures have emotion too? And we added music with pictures to enhance the sensual experience. Basically a summary. It's an activity based on Minisynth. An activity students are asked to create music that matches the emotion of a selected image. Our learning objective is student will be composing 1:15 song based on the selected images. Students will also be able to match the visuals with the composed music. As an outcome, students will be able to identify associated emotions behind different types of visuals. And students will also learn the connections between visuals and the music. Here are the specific steps. First is ideate. Second is music composing. Third is matching guests, and final reveal. Now we're going to do a live demo of what the activity looks like. Here, pretend I'm the instructor, and these two are the students. Well, so the first step is thinking. Dear students, please look at the image in the slides and select an image in the next slide to think about the emotion behind the selected image. While you think about it, please consider these questions. What kind of emotion does it have on you, and how do you feel about it?
All right, so in my head, I'm thinking I'll probably pick the happy feet one because it looks quite happy.
And I think the man in the rain looks sad, so I would choose that.
All right, perfect. Well, of course, they will not be saying that during the course. For the sake of the purpose of this demonstration, I asked them to say it out loud. The next step is creation process. So with Minisynth, and they have all, oh yeah, we'll have to connect that. So with Minisynth, they will be creating a background music for the picture that they have selected. And here are some of the requirements. It will be 10 seconds long, and they will be using both beats and the music. And they will also have 15 minutes to compose the music. So this is a demo of what it looks like when they are trying to create the music.
So it's gonna get a new song up here. You can barely see any of it, but you can sort of make out that there's a keyboard there. Again, you can just type in, any keys you want. You can do multiple at the same time. You can switch octaves by clicking these buttons over here. You can see the keyboard scroll, and then we can keep going. If you click on the bottom, that's our beats track. So this is the drum samples that we had before. Anyways, that's it.
All right, perfect. Can we switch back to the PowerPoint screen? Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Do you want? All right, so just pretend we have already gone 15 minutes of the creation process. The students have already now created the music that they have selected image for, and now they'll be listening to each other's piece. And then they'll try to match up the image with the selected song. So some question to think about while matching. How does it feel? How does it make you feel? And does it feel happy or does it feel sad? So Sean's gonna play his song first and Richard's gonna guess which image he selected.
Oh,
Is it?
it's.
All right, just pretend the entire melody that he created is kind of sad.
Wow, it's an incredibly sad song, Sean. I really see the man in the rain there. Yeah.
All right, perfect. And now Richard's gonna play his song.
Wow, that sounds really happy. It's got the feeling of happiness in there.
All right, perfect. And after they have matched up the music with the selected image that they have selected, students will reveal the image that they chose and the piece they made. And in the end, some questions to think about while matching are they different from the choices they have made in the very beginning. And that concludes the first activity. And now we're going to dive into our second activity called Music a Show. So this is a more advanced version of our activity. So basically, instead of images, students will be composing music piece according to a clip. Did you know that when we watch a movie, music changes depending on the plot to convey a story more effectively? So here, a basic summary. It's also an activity that will be taught on MiniSynth web app. In this more advanced activity, students will need to compose music that matches the mood of a movie clip. So the learning objective is that student will be composing one 15-second song that has multiple emotions. Students will also be able to identify the types of emotions seen in the music clip. Some of the learning outcomes include they'll be able to recognize how music affects plot developments and essential experience of the movie. So here is some more specific steps to this activities. First, they will feel. They'll have to feel what the feelings are the clips convey. How did the clips make them think? And second is analyze. They'll try to analyze the clips. Does the mood change while the story continues? How should it sound different from the scene to another? And third is create. They'll then select a clip that they prefer and make a 10-second background music on MiniSynth that has a mood transition to match with the 10-second frame they have selected. And last but not least is share. They'll share their music piece with the others. And in the end, they'll reflect back on how do they think a storyline can be affected by the background music. Due to time constraint, we'll not be doing a live demo on this one, but hopefully we'll have the opportunity to demonstrate everyone in the future. And now we'll move on to teaching.
So for a teaching session, first of all, we had the teaching session with 2 RISD students before having the teaching session with the Uganda refugee students as a practice. So we had 2 students and we basically went over the similar, just basically the same thing that we're teaching to Uganda refugee students. And this is just the images that they were doing the activities, like just discussing and like composing music on the app and just following the instruction. So basically, it was kind of different situation because the participants knew how to compose music or play piano. So they just needed time to get friendly with the app and started playing with it. And after that, they enjoyed the activity while engaging their skills and trying their best to express the image and emotion into a song with the picto music activity. And they were just all of the things were done, and then like they're just keep playing with the app and trying to play songs they like. And when the overview about that is that they like the app that it's got a simple interface, and they also enjoyed composing with the MiniSynth. And it was crazy that songs they made were higher quality than we expected, and it proved that the app is not only for learning but also functioning as an actual synthesizer. And yeah, we had the teaching session with 6 Uganda refugee students with Patrick yesterday in the morning. It was supposed to be last week Friday, but they had the problem with the power outage. So this was the only issue that we had in the connection with them. So we had to cancel the first teaching session on the Friday, and then we moved on to the Monday. But then in the morning, we were supposed to meet at 6 a.m. But then because of the power outage again, we waited till like 1:30 minutes. I mean, what am I saying? Oh, an hour and 30 minutes. So that we had to delay that. So just because of the power outage, there were unstable internet connection and scheduling delay and limited time for teaching. These are just the images of us having Zoom meeting yesterday. So basically, the most time it took was setting up with the phone and the app. And after figuring out, they went over simple functions of the app. And starting from the pick to music activity, they were very engaged and participated very actively. And surprisingly, all of them got right answers for each other's music with the matching image and emotion, just like what we did for the demo. And just a brief overview of looking at them was that they were very passionate of learning new things, and they love and rely on music a lot. And they know how to translate emotion into song. And most of them connected music to the feeling of excitement and happiness. And based on the analytics on the app, we had 112 total visitors and 1,291 total page views and 184 songs created and 12 Ugandan visitors and 177 Ugandan page views. And the reflection on the project. So these are the comments we got from the teaching session from the students. If I play music, it helps me forget what I was thinking about. Music conveys emotion. Music is one medium of communication between people. It communicates to my people how I feel, and I want to be in that state. Whenever I'm having some stress, I listen to music, that stress is gone immediately. And Patrick, who is our instructor and a partner, he gave us a comment that you guys never make assumptions. You always ask questions. I like this collaboration, this togetherness. We were so touched when we heard that from Patrick. And what we gained out of this project. So the skills of user-centric solutions and empathy and understanding and sustainable and scalable solutions, iterative improvement and collaboration and co-creation. For the user-centric solutions, we learned that ensuring that the app is designed with the needs, preferences, and limitations of refugee students in mind. And for empathy, fostering empathy and understanding towards the unique challenges and needs of refugee students in Uganda. And for sustainable solutions, ensuring that the app can accommodate a growing number of users and potential future expansions. And iterative improvement, just a continuous improvement based on the feedback and user testing. And for collaboration, ensuring that the app reflects their voice and perspectives and aspirations, leading to a more inclusive educational tool. And these are just the feature possibilities of our app. Just it could be like gamification and interactive elements and continuous content updates and enhancements, research and data analysis. For gamification, like we could introduce like interactive exercising gamification elements and rewards within the app that can enhance student engagement and motivation. And for the continuous content updates and enhancement, the app can continuously evolve by incorporating new educational content and resources and features. And for research, by studying the app's impact on refugee students' educational outcomes, measuring engagement levels, and understanding user behavior, valuable insights can be gained. And these are just the final words from us. So this is basically just our thought about the music. Music has the ability to inspire, provoke change, and shape our collective consciousness. It unites artists, listeners, and communities, creating a sense of unity and belonging. And its myriad Music enriches our lives, enhances our well-being, and serves as a profound and timeless art form that speaks directly to the human soul. And this is all about our project. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, guys. Can you guys?
Yeah.
Any questions from the group? So we have a couple, if you guys can read the chats up there. Okay, people love the emojis. Great comments from the students, which show how nicely the team has collaborated with them. Awesome work. Joe says, very cool. I'm a big fan of how accessible and powerful your web app is. I'll be curious about how students can pull more musical instruments from the local culture and traditions. One question would be, how can the app allow for this type of building and adaptation?
We definitely thought about that. We wanted to have. Yes, it wasn't like a.
Oh, it's here.
Okay.
Connect to the webcam.
Yeah, so I think initially we wanted them to be able to actually use the sampler to sample something. Ultimately we abandoned that just because of the technical difficulties involved. But yeah, in the future, definitely we can do that. So they'll be able to sample like, local instruments that they have, and then use those to like play back those samples within the app.
Is there any, can you like download?
In the future, yes. Right now, not
So the
quite.
question was, can you repeat the
Oh,
question?
sorry.
So people can hear it.
Yeah. So the question was, can you download the app itself?
Not the app, but like the.
Oh, the songs, the export. Yeah, no, not really. Yeah,
Is
it's.
there any way to like share with others besides like in real life?
Yeah, because one of the things. Oh, yes, sorry. So can we actually share the songs with each other? Like other than just playing it to them in real life? The answer is not really, because one of the goals was for it to be able to function fully offline. So we didn't actually have a server. So there's nothing you can actually upload to at the moment, but in the future, perhaps.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so for those who are on Zoom, I know we're kind of running a little bit late. Yeah, I know. Thanks, Joe, for coming. So for those who can just stick around for the next another 15 minutes, that'll be awesome to give some of the students some feedback and also to check out their awesome work. But for those who can't, yeah, please excuse yourself. I will send out an email later on with the recording link too as well. All right, team 4. Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. All right, team 4.
So hi everyone, we are team 4 and we design our activity for Uganda refugee youth. And I'm Sishu.
This is Bobby.
I'm Claire.
So today we have like two activities we're gonna talk about. The first one is about how to use an AI, and the second one is about like some old-fashioned stuff. It's about MC. It's a really old function like from our phones. So we just try to build a bridge between the old-fashioned stuff to the really newest technique, maybe like AI or something like that. So that's what we're gonna do for these two activities. And Bobby will talk a little bit about the activity one.
Yeah,
Before that, I wanted to say, the problem statement that like guided both of the development of both of our activities is this: how might we effectively teach ICT skills in an enjoyable way to a culturally diverse group of refugee youth in Uganda so that they can have more opportunities in their futures.
yeah, just like my groupmate said, during this 3 months course, our group designed 2 sets of activities for young refugees in Uganda, and I will now introduce the first activities. At the beginning of the activities, we conducted a series of interviews with local refugees through Patrick and obtained an important piece of information. The young refugees have a strong interest in topics related to technology and skills such as video editing, programming, and design. And many of these express their interest in these areas as they believe they would be helpful for their future employment. So based on this, we decided to introduce AI painting, which has gained popularity recently and as a helping tool in our first activities. So following the idea, we designed the activities called Future Designers. And the focus of these activities is in AI tools such as Midjourney and ChatGPT. These user-friendly AI tools greatly reduce the technical barriers in design, which address the concerns of young refugees in Uganda regarding future employment problem. So we started by providing step-by-step tutorials to assist young refugees in learning how to use these tools. So for those who proficient in using Midjourney for AI painting, we also guide them to explore future probabilities with ChatGPTs. And we designed 3 sets of categorized cards, which is challenge, user, and constraint. So students are required to draw 1 card from each category and obtain their own design challenge. Like in this sample, students should design a chair for a bird by using only 1 color. Then they can create an initial design based on the challenge they draw. And finally, they can use Midjourney to refine their design sketches into higher quality and like more complete design. Yeah, and through the whole activity, students can learn about the AI tools in an engaging manner and develop their creativities and design thinkings. And to some extent, get a future work patterns involving working with AI. Yeah, like this is a more difficult sample we created. And we believe like these activities helps reduce their actions about future employment. Yeah, and after receiving multiple feedback sessions with Patrick, we finalized the current version of the teaching materials. And yesterday we conducted our online teaching sessions via Zoom. I mean, although there are some technical issues due to the network problems, but based on the feedbacks we received from Patrick earlier, we believe that the overall activities didn't have the big significant problems. And my roommates will, my group mates will talk more about the teaching experience, and then we express our gratitude to Patrick, Iwan, Sally, and everyone who helps us throughout this process. And this is the teaching experience we had yesterday.
Yeah, so like due to some bad networking or like power outage, we also like asking Patrick to, you can just like send us the sketching from students through WhatsApp. And that's the 4 different sketching they receive. And then I just like easily to use the slash dimension to help them to generating the AI refining like sketching after I receiving all the sketching from students. So the first one is about the house. And I just like put a simple about like a modern house with glass and the concrete, and that's what we got. And that's a drum. I basically just type an African drum, maybe like with good material and good quality, and that's what we got. So it's really impressive to like having a really easy sketching, but just after a simple sentence, and we got really fine one. And that's a hot, and that's really close to the initial one. And I just like, for that one, a little bit tricky that I put maybe like a heart with a door and the windows. So like that's what we got on the first page is like a door, and also the third one is also a door. This one is a little bit weird as I'm so impressive that we having a sketching from a student who drew a tree. And actually I'm a little bit confused about that one, but I also try just like put a really simple sentence about give me a tree of wisdom to like maybe make some fancy stuff. But like, and then finally I got all these like 4 different. And in the one in the right corner, you can see a man and maybe a little house. So like to show the how big the size the tree has. Yeah. And that one's a water bottle. And also just put a really simple sentence, design a water bottle with maybe some technique and really fancy stuff. And that's what we got.
And then our second activity is NFC tag pins. So the objectives for this one were to introduce students to the capabilities of NFC technology and its applications, encourage creativity and self-expression through the design of personalized button pins, and to foster a sense of community in the classroom. So for this one, we would start by explaining what NFC technology is, and then providing examples of what they can do. And then we have screenshots from the app that we'll be using, and like the different features on the app that enable these different real world examples. So portfolio, mobile payments. And then for the Imagine section, we would have students think about what they want to store on the NFC pins. And then teach them how to use the NFC Tools app to program their NFC tags. And then they would draw the graphic that would go inside of the NFC pin, and then cut it out and put it inside the empty pin along with the NFC tag. So here we have an example. The graphic is on top and then the NFC tag is underneath. And then finally, all the finished pins would be put on a table, and then everyone would be able to scan them and guess like which student created each tag. Yeah, so the learning outcomes for this one are just to know the different types of information that NFC tags are capable of storing, understand the process of programming NFC tags, and get to know their peers better and develop a sense of connection in the classroom. Thank you.
Stop share your screen. Could you guys log out from Zoom? Okay, any questions?
What do you imagine students like? Working to, like, what do you imagine, creating?
If we keep the question.
The question is, what do we imagine students linking their pins to?
You guys are not.
Okay, yeah, the question is, what do we imagine students linking their pins to? And we give them examples such as like their favorite song, or like a game that they like, or a family photo or something. It could be anything.
Any other questions?
Urban collaboration. Did you guys, what are some of the learning habits for you guys that you guys learned during the entire project process?
The question is, what did we learn through teaching this activity? And for myself personally, it's like things like communication skills, and just like teaching in general, because I've never taught before, but like it was kind of difficult to like make sure students were engaged, or like gauge their level of interest in the topic, especially over Zoom. So I think I personally could have done a better job of like stopping in between and like asking questions, make sure they're following.
Yeah, so like for me, I'm thinking about like the big problems, like we are too shy. Let me say that, so like we are too shy to communicate with Patrick and the YSAT team. So like oftentimes like we just think about, yeah, let's talk about this like in our little group before like we're talking to Patrick. But like it's better to communicate more often with like Patrick, because like we don't know what's exactly going on in their side. So like that's the big part that we need to improve. And I think we can do it like better in the future. So like more communication and more connection with Patrick and YSAT team, the local member.
Oh yeah, and maybe like having like teaching multiple times would like help the process go a little more smoothly.
Awesome. One last question. Anybody from on Zoom who would like to ask questions? Okay, I guess that's it. Well, thank you so much, team. Yeah. All right, so that concludes our presentation for our class. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The students did some really wonderful work. So a big hands up again to the students. And I'm really happy because these activities that we create in class are not just like you know, a pilot or a small class project. We actually use these activities in our real programs. So the activities that we have created in this class will be you know, be used in the program in Greece, but also in Uganda. And we're really excited to try these out a couple more times, to refine it, to tune it, to make sure that it actually fits the program that we're running in both countries. And yeah, I will definitely give you guys some updates on how those programs, like what your activities go in the future. So, and you'll see, like, you know, there's a couple activities that previous RISD students have created in this class that are like major hits in these programs. So hopefully one of your activities will become one of those like major hits and then be used like 100 times. But yeah, thank you once again, and thank you everybody who joined on the Zoom call. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I just want to give a big thanks to also to YSAT, our Ugandan partner, but also Horizon Center at Greece, our Greece partner. The instructors there really helped out and worked really closely with our students this semester to create these amazing activities. And just wanted to give another shout out to Samsung and Poika for helping us with all the digital devices that we use in our class. And yeah, thank you all for coming in. I will send out a Zoom link, a Zoom recording link to you guys for those who were able to like catch the first part of the whole presentation. But once again, thank you so much, and yeah, congratulations, you guys made it. Yeah. So Sally said, amazing job, everyone. Sangchar said, wonderful presentations. Renee said, I am sorry I tuned in late, but I'm genuinely interested to be kept in the loop and to know how things progress. Awesome. Susheta said, great job, everyone. And Dan Sweeney said, thanks for letting me listen in. Great work. Okay. Awesome. And Sally, if you can just stick around for a little bit, that would be great. And for everyone else on this Zoom call, you guys could get back to work. Yeah. Bye, guys. Yeah. Oh, very. Do that. Oh, thank you so much for coming. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Let's see if we get